I had jokes.
You want to get it started off, Mr. Cooler, or?
I really don't. But
Okay.
I don't have a choice at the moment. This is episode 165. Special
Not
episode.
really.
All right. Well,
bonus
164.
thingy.
Yeah, 164.5, I guess. With our two guests that we have, Tevin the Destroyer, E, who we have not given a name yet, other than Lil Spoon.
Lil Spoon.
I'm not gonna repeat that, but
there's no respect in this game.
I said it once. We gotta get your shirt ready soon. Soon come.
No respect.
It's the homies. It's the homies.
Yeah.
The logo's done. I just haven't showed anybody.
I
haven't showed nobody.
I'm ready.
I got that shit saved until like we could reconvene. And
I got one shirt.
So the next Chicago trip.
Shirt on.
Well, not even the next Chicago trip.
Next one is Tampa, right? Right, E? Right, Tav?
Daytona, wasn't it?
Daytona Beach.
Oh, Tampa, Daytona. I'm in WrestleMania, but WrestleMania not happening. But yeah, either way, we're here. Welcome to episode 164.5. We are here with myself, Mr. Cooler, Mr. Alex is here, Tevin is here, our guy E is here, the Spoons are here. So we're in the middle of quarantine. Right? So
not really.
It's not a real quarantine, but this is the best version of a real quarantine we'll get. So I don't want to wish a real quarantine on us. That'd be way worse. But shit, we're here. That's why we have this video chat going on. We wanted to at least keep in touch and talk some wrestling shit with you guys. Recently, we had the 2 episodes of Dark Side of Wrestling. Dark Side of the Ring, and it was based on none other than Chris Benoit and his tragedy. I don't even know where to start with this because we already know all the theories of kayfabe still being alive between Nancy, Chris, and Kevin Sullivan. Mm-hmm. It's believable, but it's not believable. Some people do still believe it. I have a hard time believing and disbelieving it. It's like I'm teetering in between the two because it's really some crazy shit. It's really a different situation, but I think similar to the season 1 of Brody, Bruiser Brody. His episode was really good too, but I think it was just
some fucked up shit.
Yeah, I think it was so stuff that it was just so believable in their character because Chris Benoit, he never took a day off.
No.
He never took a day off, and they never gave him a day off because he never asked for it.
Him and Eddie.
Yeah, and their work ethic was just ridiculous when he pretty much had put himself on punishment when they were saying that he was in a locker room doing squats after one slip up.
That shit was crazy.
Of a live show.
That shit was nuts. When I saw that, like when they said that shit, I was like, yo, that dude was a perfectionist to like the fucking T. Cause like he missed one thing and you're doing how many squats was it? 500?
I think 500.
500?
But you know what the funny thing is? 500 to him is nothing. I did 200 the other day. My fucking legs are still killing me. So it's like,
that's
him. I was just like, get through.
He was built like a running back though.
Yeah, he was.
He was a little stocky motherfucker.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the clips of the New Japan match that they had together. Eddie as Tiger Mask and Benoit as the Wild Pegasus.
Was he actually Tiger Mask though?
Yes.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Black Tiger. He was Black
Tiger. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, he was Black Tiger. You can tell it's him. You can tell based on the body shape. Oh, he looks like a big version of Eddie. He doesn't look like Eddie from WCW. He looks bigger.
Yeah, Hattori used to make fun of him. Like he said it, like Jericho
Wally-
said that Hattori would make fun of him, saying like, "You have a big body, you're like a flamingo. You have a big body, but
He
skinny
looked like
legs."
Daniel Tiger.
Yeah, he definitely
He
did.
looked like Daniel Tiger. I had a mustache.
Their match, but to go back to the match, it was very aggressive, and you can see how it. You can see the
All their
difference.
matches.
Yeah, but you think
It was a New Japan match.
New Japan is very different, and that's why we watch more of that, because it's more of a strong style match. It's like it's more similar to the way they hit in UFC than the way they hit in WWE. That's what I compare New Japan. Is very more violent and aggressive than WWE. It's more comparable to UFC, because of course you have the gloves on, but it's still like that aggression, that real, like they're not pulling any punches.
Yeah, motherfuckers hit each other. Like if you watch now
they
a
said
match
it, though.
between if you watch now a match between like fucking the Stone Pitbull versus fucking Minoru Suzuki, like that's they're hitting each other. Even though it's like practice hitting, they're still hitting each other to a certain degree. So imagine back in the late 80s, early 90s, like they're knocking each other, which lends to some of that credence to the CTE stuff. Like overall, like when they got into the CTE stuff, and showed all the chair shots, I was like, because like when we used to watch it, we were just like, oh, well, we were smaller and we didn't know any better. But like now you see it, like it made me think of that chair shot that Cody got not too long ago from
Oh yeah.
yeah, exactly, when he got hit with that, like right on the edge.
Sean
And I
Spears.
was just like,
Yes.
yeah, I was just like, holy shit, like it made me think of that, and I'm like, yo, that was the last like legit chair shot we've seen, and the way it,
He took
the
a lot
way
of criticism for that, though.
yeah, and that's the thing, and that's the reason why, because when you see when you see a series like this that goes in depth into like, oh, how something like this could happen, maybe this is the reason why something happened. Like when you look at the chair shots, how many chair shots people would take, and how Chris Jericho described it, like that was like that was something you had to
Badge of
go
honor.
through back in the day. Yeah, badge of honor. Be like, you're gonna tense up your fucking neck, your muscles, your whole body,
and
and just
take it.
wait for it. Like when he said that shit, I was just like, nah. I was like, I wouldn't have been able to.
I
You said
couldn't.
it
I
was like a
couldn't
badge of
have.
honor, right?
Yeah, it's
I've
crazy.
fallen on my head on like grass, bro. That shit hurt.
You wasn't
I'm
tense.
playing
You wasn't
football.
tense.
It wasn't a
That's even worse. You got pads and everything.
Yeah, you bust your ass, and it's like I'm good. Like fuck out of here. Like,
Let's even go
That shit still
back to
hurts.
like the New Japan thing. You said you brought up the name of Suzuki Minoru. He had a match with John Moxley. You can tell how new Moxley is to New Japan by just the way that he's hitting him.
yeah,
Even just the chops, even just the forearms, it's very different, because Moxley is so super trained by WWE. It doesn't go the same way. It's still like you're throwing a punch, but you're pulling back some. It doesn't look as effective, but it's effective. It just doesn't look as.
Yeah. So like, what are your thoughts on the whole, like after watching both episodes?
I want to hear
after watching both parts, like, what do y'all think happened? Do y'all think like, because obviously we spoke last time like on the podcast talking about how the CTE, like obviously that was possible. That was probably the highest possible explanation that could come out of probably 90%, 95% even. Between 85 to 95% probability, that's what led to him doing what he did. I also want to say the straw that broke the camel's back was Eddie Guerrero dying. Obviously, that was like he had no out after that. Like, yes, he had his wife, yes, he had like his children and whatnot, but he didn't have his closest confidant anymore.
He didn't have the brother that he had.
Exactly, and like we discussed, we said that like it's like losing a third of you, like because it was him, it was Nancy, and it was Eddie. Like that was what kept them together. More so Eddie than Nancy. So like, do you think that it is attributed to the CTE, or do you think that it's the other theories, like any other theory that might be out there? Like again with the Kevin Sullivan thing, like I'm sure we know the theories. It's just what do
There's
you
also
think?
a theory of
You heard the joke.
of even WWE as well. So like, there's a lot to it. What do you, yeah, just yeah. I want to hear Tab first. I want to
I
hear
was
what Tab has to say.
saying let E go first because I
Okay.
need my choice.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna listen.
I mean, we all heard the jokes
I'll
that
be right back.
Kevin Sullivan had something to do with the with the death,
Yeah.
but it's just PTSD is a motherfucker, and that mix that in with the CTE, makes you do different things. He was
Yeah.
he was on alcohol, he was on the steroids, he was on all these things.
Pumping.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
I can definitely see that because while I was watching, when they started talking about woman, she
yeah.
just talking about her and her um deserving to be inside of the Hall of Fame, whether Benoit deserves it or not, she does as woman, because she has a list of clients as a valet or as a manager. She has a
Or
list
put
of
her
clients.
in, put her in as woman, but
Yes,
with her
without that
maiden
name.
name,
Yeah,
Nancy, whatever.
yeah, that should have happened, but at the same time, there is a belief that she put all her eggs in one basket and then moved it from one basket to another with the whole Kevin and Chris thing.
Yeah,
But
but who puts your wife in a storyline like that though?
That's his own. Honestly speaking, that's his own fault. And they even talked
That's
about
also a
how
joke.
it's yeah. That
yes,
said that that's a
Joke,
joke
like
that he booked
he
his
booked
own
his own.
divorce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
but
So like,
you never know. But at the same time, it goes back to the connection that he had with Chris. Whatever that connection was, it wasn't as strong as what Chris and Nancy was building at the same time. Their friendship wasn't as strong. Their It wasn't there because if I believe that their friendship was that strong, maybe that divorce wouldn't have happened. Well, maybe the divorce would have happened, but I doubt that the new marriage with Chris would have happened. Whether you're I don't mind the booking of a divorce, but the booking of a new marriage is more questionable to me.
Yeah.
Because like whatever happens with you and your wife is one thing, but then the next guy to step in is the other guy that's supposed to be your friend or supposed to be the storyline. That's the troubling part.
I mean, we kind of saw this again with the whole like Matt Hardy, Lita,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
fucking Jericho thing. Like we saw it play out twice in like what span of 20 years, possibly.
even Matt? You mean Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and CM Punk? Is that
Yeah, whatever.
that too?
Whatever, yeah.
Or it could have even been a possibility of happening with Lana, Rusev, and Dolph.
Exactly.
Sometimes certain storylines don't need to happen, and I get it. Sometimes what happens in real life carries on screen better, but sometimes it just doesn't need to be utilized that way.
Agreed.
Personal, stay personal.
Yeah, but a lot of people say that she put all her eggs in one basket from going from Chris. I'm going from Kevin to going to Chris, and that's why I think the idea of kayfabe in this story is still alive because no one really not too many people know of that storyline today. But going back onto the network and seeing what it is about is like is a mind blow. It's like how and why would anybody even do that? But you just never know, and you just
Ratings.
yeah, ratings, and sometimes
Ratings.
you're like you really need it. You need something. You would rather the real pop and a real reaction than a flop of a pop or a reaction.
Yeah.
Because It happens a lot. Like a lot of the times we all like one of the biggest phrases is art imitating life. And that's what happens. It doesn't just happen in wrestling, it happens all over the place. But yeah, it's just crazy. Even down to I want to go into I think it was the first episode.
It's weird that you say that.
Well, go ahead, Tev.
My bad. It's weird that you say that, like the whole life imitating all, because they were saying the same exact thing in the Macho Man one as well.
It's true.
Because imitating life, as aggressive he might have seemed in the ring with her, like when she was coming out to the ring, he was kind of the same way. He was always like had tabs on her and whatnot.
Yeah, there was this obsessiveness to it at some point. So like I could easily see how that would carry, whether you're thinking of it Chris Benoit and Nancy or Kevin Sullivan to Nancy, still holding on to something that's not there anymore, that could potentially lead to a whole frame up, cover up, whatever, this and that. Like, it just, either way, it's that attachment, that obsession. Like, if it so happens that it's true that he did do that, it's 100% true, then that Benoit, did the double murder suicide, then I think for the most part we can just say that we can attribute it to the CTE and to PTSD with him losing his best friend, and also like the alcoholism, the steroids, and on top of that, like whatever painkillers he was on. Because honestly speaking, that's just a bad mix over. It's the perfect storm of having something like
self-destruction.
It's a tempest, and you're just gonna be in it. Like there's really no way out of it, unless like the only time they said that he started to somewhat come out of it was when they gave him a journal so he could write to Eddie or something like that. Like that's what started making him better. But then who knows? Maybe he had a bad night at one of the events, got home, started drinking, and led to everything happening.
Yeah, because a lot of the times what they would say, what even Jericho would say, is he was sad every time he went somewhere, because every time he went somewhere, he said he would say out loud, the last time I was here, I was with Eddie.
Yeah.
So it's even to the detriment of even being able to make new memories, or even being willing to. That might be part of CTE as well. Like you're not willing to make new friends or have old friendships flourish in this moment. You're so closed off where you don't want anything, or you're not trying to nurture other relationships. You can't being so closed off like that is not healthy. And this is what I have to say while we're in the quarantine, but it's just not healthy to isolate yourself that way. Even look, when you're around people, you have nothing to say. But much to say, I would rather say.
I mean, think about it though. Like, I understand what you mean, but at the same time, you have to think about it from his perspective. Your best friend that you traveled with every day, that you saw every day, you joked around with every day, you confided in him every
20
day.
plus years.
For 20 plus years is gone, right? How do you restart that with somebody else? How do you even like begin to try to think that? Because like what you have to think is, okay, now he's gone. 1, what the fuck am I gonna do? 2, who the fuck can replace him? 3, do I really want to start this all over again with somebody in the wrestling world that might be dead in another 5 years? At the rate they were going, with all the steroids, with all
that last bullet point is the most important one.
Yeah.
Because you can go to your best friend's nephew. You can go to Chavo. Because Chavo needs help. You cannot tell me Chavo does not need help.
No, of course,
in his heart and soul at this point, because he just found his uncle face down and gurgling and just fades away. So
that one kind of wrecked me too, man.
Oh no, that ripped me. I'm sitting there like I damn near about to cry, damn near tearing up. I'm like, Jesus, like I end up sending out texts saying, I said, Chavo, we love you. Malenko, we love you. Vicky, we love you. And the families as well, we love you. Because that's not something to play with. Like, you to be able to just cradle someone out of their life.
Yeah.
That is the like the most craziest thing I've ever seen anyone talk about on television.
Exactly, and the fact that he got pretty much through the whole thing talking about it, and then only at the end, like, even had to like stop. Like, he got through most of it, like 99%.
He didn't break it as much as I thought he would.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in such a moment, but at the same time, it's just like you have a point. He should have probably tried to find Chavo in that time, but at the same time, Chavo isn't Eddie. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he was probably cool.
Yeah,
he was probably cool with Chavo, but at the same time, like, Eddie was the one he hung his hat on. Eddie was the one that he could always rely on. Even though Chavo is probably just as reliable, just as all that, like, it's not Eddie at the end of the day.
Also, did Chavo make the effort?
What about Jericho?
That's true.
Did Jericho make the effort?
They tried a little bit. They tried a little bit, but it goes back to how closed off Chris was. Like, he was very closed off. So it goes back to that, but it's still the fact that if you're closed off, if I'm closed off after my best friend dies and you see that, how much of a good friend are you to say he's going through something, I should leave him alone? If he's going through something that we're all going through, I need a crutch. He needed many crutches. As much as people probably tried to reach out, even down to that fucking text that he sent Chavo.
That was my biggest issue, which is what we discussed last time. Like,
as weird as those texts were,
at 3 a.m., like,
reach out
get up and go over there.
Reach out for me, or even do that wellness check before Vince does it, before WWE does it. Do that wellness check. You might have just saved one person, whether it was Chris or another.
Because I'm not gonna lie, like, I've gotten a text like at fucking 1 a.m. saying like, "Yo, I need your help. Like, you need to get here now." Motherfucker was all the way in Brooklyn. I was just like, it's 1 a.m. They wouldn't be texting me for no reason.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll be there in 35 minutes. I was like, I'm just going to get an Uber. I was there in 35 minutes. Hey, like, me being there made a whole fucking difference. Like, it was a shit situation, and it made the difference. Like, it could have went another way, and it did make the difference. So, like, for me, like, that's why when he said that he got that at 2-3 a.m., that text, like, a weird text, not even saying, like, hey, I need help, but, like, the dogs are going to be out in the back, like, what do you mean?
I've never asked about the dogs. I never asked about the dogs, and you're telling me about the dogs.
And then you get it from the wife's thing too.
Yeah, like, that's even.
So, like, if I'm getting the same text from the wife and the husband, I'm like calling 911.
The same weird text. You got to put that into context. It's a weird text at a specific time. It's alarming. And then you find out. I'm sure.
The Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, the fire. What? What are we talking about? You know what? Yeah,
I'm doing my shit on the phone.
Okay.
And I saw Firefly Funhouse.
Oh, you just got the notification. All right, but
John Cena and the Fiend.
Yeah, like, you get two weird texts from two spouses that are great friends of you and your brother your uncle who has passed. You have to reach out. You have to look out, because he's been being weird. He broke down super crazy on a live episode for SmackDown talking about Eddie. That man needs time off. He needed a lot more than he
definitely needed time off.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing. Like, he went.
Yeah, like, I don't care who you are. If he breaks down like that, you need time off. Well, maybe you don't need time off. Maybe you do need to be here, but you don't need to work. Maybe you need to be around just the love of the locker room.
No, he shouldn't have been around. Period.
That too.
Honestly, for at least a couple months.
Did you see that video though? The tribute video.
Yeah, dude, he could barely get anything out.
Exactly.
Yeah. I remember watching that day off, And I was sitting there looking at him like, this man he's crying like a baby. He was crying like a baby, and he had to be about 30 something. And I know it's never hard. It's never easy to lose someone. I know it's hard as an understatement when you lose somebody, but it's still like.
That was like as if his wife died or his mother died, honestly. Like that was the equivalent of that. And like, so to see that on national television, at least on USA, where the fuck it was, or TNT at the time, to see that, it's like, as Vince McMahon, or as, you know, the wellness checks or whatever, like the well-being policy, whatever the fuck it's called, the wellness policy, like whoever was in charge of that and saw that, and you put that on live TV, like, send him home. Yeah, because that's why you have bereavement things. Like, even at work, if somebody's like grandmother dies or whatever, this and that, like you have the bereavement, days to take, and he wanted to go to work, but at the same time, like you as a company that has an HR and everything like that, like you have to like kind of force him out, like, yo, go home, or you're not gonna perform. You can be here, but you're not gonna perform. And like you could at least set those policies in place for that type, like back then. So like I'm not saying it's WWE's fault, I'm not saying it's Vince's fault either, but at the same time, like they could have done something to help him, or at least like gotten him counselors or whatever to like help him, like grief counselors, like that's what they're for. Nobody stepped in really to try to like.
They have grief counselors in WWE.
Either way, it doesn't matter. You can hire somebody for him. That's what I'm saying. Like you have that much money, you have resources. They have almost unlimited resources to be able to do that type of shit. And
we're still talking about WWE. We're still talking about the company that has them as independent contractors that don't get certain things, but
exclusive.
Yeah, but they have to be exclusive, which means you're not a fucking independent contractor.
Still when you're contracted.
Exactly.
That's crazy. You still got to fill out 1099.
Yeah, so we're still talking about WWE. We can tell WWE a million things that they should do.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it. And the most they would probably do is just tell people, take some time off. At least now, today, that's all I can see is them saying, take some time off. We'll call you. But
I think not in today's day. I think they'll at least, like, if this were to happen today.
Depends on who you are.
No, I think if this were to happen today, regardless of who you are, because of, if it were to happen again today, like, let's say somebody's best friend in the industry died, and I would assume that, I would hope that they would do it again today, because they're so sensitive on so many fucking topics now, to the point where if this were to happen, if there were to be like another tribute, like they would have to, I think they would have to use their resources to do it, because they have the whole Connor's Cure thing going on, all these other initiatives going on, women in wrestling, be a star type thing. Like they have those resources already in place. Like you would have to use that nowadays. Like you would have to levy those resources or whatever resources you can. Like I'm sure they have psychiatric evaluations for people, especially after coming off of like concussions and whatever and this and that. Like I'm sure they go, or they at least should go through those things, but for the most part, like it's just, I don't.
Well, we got to remember they also talked about Eddie dozing off every once in a while.
Well, that's because of the heart disease that he didn't know he had.
But they didn't check into that.
He didn't check into it.
If you're talking,
didn't check into it.
If you're at work and this is happening, you're not going to tell your boss. You're not going to.
Nobody didn't.
No. I mean, like if me and you are talking as two co-workers, you're not in that weird shit happens. You're not going to say, "Hey, did you like?" I'm sure.
Yeah, like, I'm sure people
reach out to your
own. They probably thought it was exhaustion. Maybe he's just tired.
Or narcolepsy. Who the fuck knows?
They were working, 300 days a week?
Well, if you think it's that, I'm asking. Me personally, I'm asking. We were talking. Did you get that? Because I saw you dozing off.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you would say that, but then at the same time, like, nobody had either nobody had the wherewithal to tell him, hey, you should get that checked out, or maybe people did tell him, and he was just like, nah, I'm fine, it happens.
Maybe it's just being scared of somebody. of somebody else taking your spot. Because that's why Benoit didn't take a day off.
Yeah.
That's why both of them didn't take any days off. So I don't know. I'm just gonna say I love Jericho through all of this because he brought Nancy's sister and he brought Chris Benoit's son. Yeah.
Yo,
together.
He looks so much like him.
Yeah, his kid looks just like him. He's a twin.
It's so fucking crazy, like how
it's kind of creepy.
Even the younger son looked just like him too. Like that was the crazy shit. As a baby, like he looked just like him, and I was just like, that's nuts. But no, yeah, like Jericho through this whole thing, like he always shot it straight during both episodes. Like he didn't pull no punches. He was like, yeah, we did fucking cocaine, we drank and blah blah this and that, or drugs. Like
fucking love Jericho.
Fucking,
I love Jericho.
Like he was like, yeah, we did shit like rock stars. He was like, of course. He's like, the wellness policy. He was like, yeah, no. He was like, yeah.
There's ways around.
But then afterwards, he was like, yeah, there were ways around things, but it did get harder after certain things happened. So it was like he was fucking real with it as per usual, and like what he did to bring them together, that shit was dope. Like I was watching it while I was working, I was doing work stuff here at home, and I was just like, I just stopped doing what I was doing. I was just watching that whole part. I was like, that's why Jericho's a fucking man. Now I was like,
I said the same exact thing.
There's nobody else that would like really come out and do that type of shit. Like he's already doing so much other things. Like he's fucking has his Fozzy. He has the fucking Jericho Cruise. He has the AEW that he's helping run and put together. He was champ for how fucking long? So did he do this while he was champ as well? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure he did.
New Japan and his cruise and the movie he was just in. The movie's hilarious.
What movie?
What movie was that?
Jay and Silent Bob, the reboot.
He was in that?
Really?
He was the Ku Klux Klan dude.
No way.
Yeah.
I forgot. I mean, I was high as fuck when I watched it, so
it's
that
but
shit,
it's
I'm
a good
dying.
movie.
It's on Amazon Prime if you have it, so you should watch it. I downloaded it and shit, but like, and then I realized it was on Amazon Prime. I was like, oh, okay. But no, yeah, he's a fucking man.
He's great. But what you were saying something, Tev? I didn't get what you were saying.
Oh, I was saying like throughout this whole process, like with him dying and whatnot, and you know how he died and how he killed his family. No one ever thought about David in the whole situation, and I thought that was kind of messed up.
Yeah, like they wrote off everything about him.
They erased everything.
Yeah, they just like cut him off, and it's like he didn't have any control over that. Like
it's crazy.
Like he was being punished. You know?
He was being punished as a victim for being related to his father. And it's like that didn't sit well with me when like they really got into that. I was like, that's fucked up. And the same thing, like one thing that I took to heart was like how they told Nancy's sister that Benoit's family didn't want anything to do with her, or that David, that the son didn't want anything to do with Nancy's sister and or with his aunt, and vice versa. And I was just like, that's fucked up. Like, because they could have at least helped each other through it the whole time until now. And like, how many years was it? 16 years?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But people don't know how to grieve either way. So I'll tell you that. Like, I understand it. I don't recommend it, but people just don't know how to grieve. Like, when some people grieve by saying, some people grieve the way Chris grieved. He just cut off every type of contact to the outside world. Yeah. And he was in his own head. So if he's doing that, can you imagine what the family members are doing based on the double murder suicide? So it's no real right way to react, but the most wrong way to react is isolation. Complete isolation is the wrong way to react to that. But yeah, just back to Chris and Chavo, like Jericho and Chavo. Those are the only two that actually reached out to both of them.
Yeah.
That just shows you who they are.
Specifically David more so, because like his aunt for the most part, probably take care of herself and everything. But like David having practically next
Nothing
to
and no
nobody,
one.
like that's what really bugged me because I'm just like, you're really gonna just leave him out on an island to figure this shit out for himself. He even said it was the hardest time of my life because it's like how obviously it's the hardest time of his life. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts, like because he was alone through the whole fucking process to begin with, and not by choice. On top of that, so it's just it was. I found that to be really fucked up, honestly speaking. But
it is because
I'm glad he got through it at least.
Yeah, because you even see the reaction to Jim Ross being there at the funeral. He should not have been the only one there.
No,
it should have been a couple of them there. It should have been, okay, he's the one here for business, but everyone else is here for support. Like, that was...
taking drugs?
The eye drops over there? You can't even see your eyes. It don't even matter. But yeah, like, that was the craziest thing to me. Like, just that connection. Only two people in the wrestling business, and you can't even call that the wrestling business. That's more family. At least half of that is wrestling, and half of that is family. Because Jericho was on tours with them, but it's not the same relationship. He wasn't even part of the. He wasn't even part of the Radicals. I love Malenko's idea of everything, where he says what he did is unforgivable, but I don't know how to.
Malenko's a sellout.
You think? Nah, he's not.
You think so?
You think he's a sellout? Why do you think he's a sellout?
He became a WWE producer.
Well, he's in AEW now.
No.
but it's still he was probably.
I mean, he sticks to his beliefs or whatever, but he's still writing.
Well, yeah, like it's murder, suicide. Certain things are just unforgivable. You
can't really process them together sometimes. Like it's just like, because you can't take away the fact that he was one of the top wrestlers ever. Period.
Yeah,
you can't. But then the other thing is like, he still did this.
And they said that at the end of the second episode, where Eddie and Chris are the exact same legacy, same type of character. The only difference is one is praised and in the Hall of Fame, and the other will never because of what he did.
Yeah.
They're both two of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. I'm with that idea of not putting Benoit in the Hall of Fame. I get it.
100%.
Is hard to deal with, just like it's hard to deal with, like, from Malenko's stance. Like I was saying, like, he has great memories with this man, but it's like you have a skewed vision on this guy because of what he did. The choices that you make, like you it's the Tony Montana rule. Who don't you hurt? Who don't you fuck with? You don't fuck with kids and women. You don't fuck with the innocent, and that's what it comes down to. Like I would love for this have not to been the story, but that's what we have to deal with. And it's annoying, and it hurts because it's like these are guys that you watched and you love them and you wish that they can be more than what they are or better than what they are, but humans are flawed. Humans are all flawed. So it's just
speaking of the Hall of Fame
situation.
Real quick, shout out to Bulldog.
Yeah,
finally made it.
Took him a while, but he finally made it.
Took him a while.
Yeah. Now, if we could get
we need Owen.
Huh?
Need what?
We need Owen.
Yes.
Yes.
We gotta get Owen.
We need the whole Heart Foundation that goes with Brian Pillman as well. Maybe.
Nope.
Yeah, I still don't know how Owen's not in there. Like, honestly.
I heard Brett says it's Owen's wife, yeah.
Yeah, Owen's wife doesn't want it.
She's still suing him, right?
I don't know about suing. She might just, she might not want anything to do with the company in general, but.
That's actually one of the episodes coming up. Oh, it's so hard to do it with nothing supporting your back.
I feel you.
Fact.
I forgot.
Wait, why don't you use that fucking chair behind you?
Because I was too high, you said.
This thing. Anyway, you could start from where you're at.
I forgot where we were at. We were talking about Heart Foundation just completely being in and Owen not being in because of Owen's
wife.
They need to be treated like a group, like the NWO, DX,
yeah,
Four Horsemen.
Agreed.
Yeah. Because that second version of Horror Foundation was awesome.
They were WWE's version of the Horsemen to, try to be in the Attitude Era. Because that's when Bret Hart was heel.
It kind of worked. It just Bret is not
USA versus Canada shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bret shouldn't have been the mouthpiece. Owen should have been the mouthpiece, and I get it, but Owen is a better heel than Bret.
Owen's down with the brothers.
Definitely was.
Yeah.
He was.
Honestly, I feel like a good episode of Dark Side of Light, one they should work on.
What do you think?
Would be because we need to hear more about him too.
Of who?
Brian Pillman.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and we have his son out here.
We have WCW in his early years.
Go ahead.
In WCW in his early years, he was phenomenal. Like the match he had against Liger, the rivalry he had against
the Hollywood Blonde.
Was it the Dangerous Alliance?
The Dangerous Alliance. Yeah, the Dangerous Alliance and the Hollywood Blondes. He was great. Yeah. It was great. And we can get some information based on Brian Pillman Jr. out here. He's wrestling. He's doing his thing, and he looks just like him. He has hair similar to him, but a little bit better. So we can get something. I don't know why that's not on this season, but hopefully there's a third season with that on it. That should be episode number 1.
There's so many wrestling stories that they could do, so it's like there's so much shit they could look into.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the U.S. or even in Japan, like they could branch out to New Japan because I'm sure there's shit there that we don't even really know about in the background. Like, why the fuck not?
Maybe they do the truth behind the CM Punk stuff.
Yeah, that too.
If CM Punk ever wants to even talk about it,
because WWE's not feeling him yet. And CM Punk's just in Fox.
And he don't give a fuck. Yeah, he's contracted to Fox, so
that's a lot of WWE research that involves a lot of people that's still in WWE. So I don't know if that's going to happen too soon, but it's possible. You never know. It's possible.
This Otis and Mandy Rose is good.
It's decent. I like it. I would rather
that. You see I guess because it's a 2-night WrestleMania now, they're gonna give them a shot.
Good.
Oh, my headphones died.
All right, that's cool. We're waiting for this.
You can hear me?
Come back.
Yeah, we can
hear you. We can hear you.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
I don't hear you.
No.
So this is how it cuts out, I guess, because he's gonna start moving the camera and whatever. So
And now we're not gonna be able to see him again.
Yeah. So pretty much that's probably the end of this.
I fucked everything up.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Most of them are out of it. It's fine. He's high. He needs to go.
He's going to get his food, and that's what.
So that's the end of the podcast, pretty much, or the mini episode, whatever.
Bam.
It's fine. Yes.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it with your black gloves.
And Tev, if he was here not eating his pizza, which he probably is doing, he would probably say the same thing. But thanks again for joining us, guys. It was a good discussion. We could
do this again
under
different circumstances.
Yeah, for sure.
Over
and
a beer, not quarantine.
Exactly. So yeah, thanks again for being with us. You can follow us on Twitter at Pokes and Chokes, myself at _Mr. Alex 25 _ Kula at
NU _KEWLA Drop your socials if you want to drop your socials. No socials?
At this moment, PD, TBA.
Okay, well, yeah.
I'll pass them to Alex. Alex will put them in the comments.
Yeah, that's fine. What I did was I actually posted on Twitter a picture of what we were doing and I tagged all of
There
them.
you go. All right, bet. There you go. That easy. So thanks again. Thanks for being on the podcast, and we'll catch you guys next week.
The Spoons!
Spoons!